and welcome to the Calaveras Council of Governments April 3rd, 2024 meeting. If you could please stand for the pledge.
To the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice.
We'll move on to the consent agenda. We have a few items on the consent agenda. Are there any board members that wishes to pull or discuss a consent agenda item? Okay, seeing none, I'll turn it to the public. Are there any public members that wish to comment on the consent agenda? None, and none online. Bring it back to the board. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Tim, second by Justin. All in favor?
Aye.
We'll move on to the regular agenda. Next is public comment. Comments shall be limited to items that are within the subject matter jurisdiction of the council and not on the posted agenda. Are there any members of the public that wishes to comment? Not seeing any in the room, going to Zoom, seeing none on Zoom. We'll move on to the next agenda item, and that is Caltrans report, and I believe Gregoria is here?
Gregoria just joined.
Gregoria is here, right?
Correct.
Okay.
She's just joining. Let's just.
Oh, okay. You want to give her a couple minutes? Are you good?
Yes.
I'm good. Hi.
Hi.
Good
how are
afternoon.
you?
Fine, thank you. Good evening, Chair, members of the board. I just have a few items. We recently sent a letter March 5th, signed by our new director, our interim director, Ms. Grace Megsayo. She is filling in, coming in behind recently retired Dennis Agar. I do hope you received the letter. If you have any questions regarding the letter or any information on that letter, please let me know. I heard the exec team will be happy to assist with that. I do have a few items. I'll begin with the first item. We've recently released a Caltrans strategic investment strategy. It's a guidance and process we are providing our community partners, tribal government leaders, and other stakeholders to have the opportunity to review and comment on our drafts a strategic investment strategy. It's a framework and a companion document to assess alignment with the climate action plan, transportation infrastructure, called the draft CAPTA alignment metrics. And we're using a comment intake form. I'll be happy to share the link. It's recently been sent to our partners, but we are requesting our partners review and comment on the most recent draft of the CSIS. The document essentially established an investment framework with standard methodologies and process to guide transportation investment decisions through a transparent and collaborative process. And the framework applies to major capital projects proposed on the state highway that have completed the project initiation documents and are ready to seek competitive funding for environmental design right-of-way and construction phases. The comment period closes April 15th, and I'll be soon sending a link for that. We've also released a locally sponsored project initiation document, alignment guidance. It's being implemented effective immediately. We'd like to thank our community partners and tribal government leaders and other stakeholders for providing very valuable feedback during the public comment period. For further information, we have information up on our multimodal system planning website, and I'll be sharing that link as well. The last item I have is a funding opportunity. The Governor's Office of Planning and Research Integrated Climate Adaptation Resiliency Program, known as ICAR. It's a call for applications. They recently issued a call for applications, issued final guidelines and application materials for round 2 of the adaptation planning grant. The program supports the development of a pipeline of climate resilient infrastructure projects to help fill local, regional, and tribal planning needs, provide communities the resources needed to identify climate resilience and priorities. Pre-application interest form is due by May 6th, and the final application form is due May 20th, 2024. There's approximately $9.5 million available. And for further information, please see www.opr.ca.gov. I don't have any other items. If anyone has any questions for me, please let me know. Thank you.
Do any of the board members have questions? I have one question for you. Do you know what the start date is for plowing Highway 4?
Do I know the date for,
Plowing Highway 4 up the hill
No,
to open up a bit past with the storm coming in?
I do not, but I will send a note, shortly after this meeting and get that information to you.
Okay, I was just curious. We're finally having another storm again, so I wasn't sure if that timeline got changed or not. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Any other questions? No? Any other questions from the public? Okay, thank you. We appreciate you joining today. And next up, we have the county.
Good evening, Board. I don't have a formal report, as Robert is out of town and didn't leave me anything to tell you folks, but I did have something pop into my mind while I was sitting, waiting to come talk to you. We are currently out to bid for the Clean California Monuments Project, and so I thought this would be a good opportunity to get the word out that bids are due from contractors on April 17th by 3 p.m. So if you know of anybody who's looking to construct a monument, please let them know to get their bids in. Other than that, I'm here to answer any questions if you have any. Takes a while to do these things, sir. Takes a little while. Yep.
Are there any questions from the board for the county?
All right. Great,
Any
thank you.
online? Nope.
Oh,
Thank you, Kelly.
like that.
And then I will turn it over to Alvin for city.
the Murphy's Grade Road, I believe we've closed out now 100%, so that is a done deal, which is a wonderful thing. The signs, we went through and re-identified quite a few of them that we maybe Caltrans had some, we had some. We went through and re-identified and looked at them, and those have been now approved and, to my knowledge, ordered. Angels Creek is still in, I believe, right-of-way. We got through environmental a couple months ago. So we're now in the right-of-way phase there, and just that's taking a lot longer than we thought, but it's moving forward slowly but surely. What else? We had updates from Habitat for Humanity last night. They're still waiting on their $10 million grant to do the dirt work. Moyle excavation, I know, has got a good chunk of it, it sounds like. I think I heard John Allen's name in there for some retaining walls and stuff. Utica Park, we were finally done with geotech and moving forward with that here in the next, I don't know, there's the Utica Park Committee, and then it's got to go through us, so it's got a little time left, but hopefully break ground in the next month and a half or two. What else did I have? Moving forward with AMR is where we're going to try and do the automated meter reading. It takes 6 guys 3 days to do that, and it's a big chunk of change. So we're going to start replacing meters, and I think we may try and do like a test, like Angel Oaks or a small subdivision to start with, and see how it works before we go completely citywide. What else was on there? Oh, the EV placement, the electrical vehicle placement. We picked 2 locations last night to look at, which would be the Angels Police Department and would be the old Napa at the moment. And that would give our public works guys places to charge and that type of stuff. So I think that was about the gist. Questions? Shutting it down.
Not at this time.
Thank you, Alvin. Hey, is there any public comment? None? Okay, we'll move on to the next agenda item, which is item number 7, resolution 2420, approving fiscal year 23-24 OWP amendment number 2 and OWPA with Caltrans. And that is the document that I had everybody pass down right before the meeting started. And I will turn it over to the Executive Director, Radio.
Thank you, Chair Follendor. As the chair stated, I've highlighted some items on this amendment. This amendment, there is no change to the total budget amount. So the 1.5 at the bottom is still the budget amount. The primary need for amendment number 2 was identifying our RPA carryover. At the top, it's the Rural Planning Assistance. We added a carryover line. We're coordinating with Caltrans, and they needed to see this carryover. We also shifted staff time between work elements. Now that we're through mid-year, we can see where we're tracking and where we're spending our staff time on other items. I've detailed in the staff report the work elements. Work element number 3, which is regional planning and coordination. We increased a small amount, 6,238. We were working with our partners at the county on the wagon trail for the first part of the year, so we shifted some staff time to that work element. On work element number 5, which is our planning, programming, and monitoring of state and federal funds, again, we shifted some staff time. We were working with partners at the county and CTC, so we were changing some programming and additional staff time was needed. On work element number 7, which is grant development, we moved some staff time to the contract column. We're going to be going out for some additional applications. One of those is the evacuation plan, a full evacuation plan for the county, working with county staff and city staff. The Copperopolis, Main Street, and Safe Routes to School, we're going to apply for that again. And we are going to work with the City of Angels to update their downtown Main Street plan so that they can go after some additional funding. It was done, I think, in 2014. It needs some updates. So we're going to help the city out with that. On work element number 8, which is our RTP update, that item will be again later on in this agenda. We're awarding a contract, but because we were utilizing RPA funding and you can only carry over a certain amount of RPA funding, we adjusted that work element. And if the council has any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Are there any questions from the board?
I do have, sorry, Susan. I do have a question on the item number 8, the RTP.
Yep.
It says the contract's $39,574, and then COG's portion is $16,042. Is that a match for any grant?
No.
Just we plugged that in from our funding for RTP?
So what's going on with this? This is a great question, because if you see the item later, it's the contract is $157,000.
Right.
So we haven't budgeted the full contract amount because in June, we'll be bringing you the final. So we didn't want to reflect funding that we are not going to be able to spend on RPA. So this is just enough to get us started through the end of June.
I guess I have a question on that one too. Those numbers, they don't seem to add up to 105,616. Or do they?
Do those not add up?
They should add up.
They do. Yeah, they do.
Okay.
All right, excuse me.
20 grand all the way
I
to
was
the
just
levy.
rounding. Sorry.
Okay.
Any other, Mike?
Melissa, I have a question on work item number 16. It came up last night with our discussion of where we wanted to place the 2 charging stations. That's going to be completely grant funded,
Yes.
we're hoping.
Oh, yeah. That's the first order of business that COG will be tasked with. There is so much money in California for going after infrastructure.
Okay.
So once we complete this plan, that plan is our roadmap of how to demonstrate we're going to utilize grant funds. So we usually do the plan and then we start applying for grants and go after that infrastructure.
And then maintenance and upkeep will fall onto the county and
Yes.
onto the city after
Yes.
it's installed.
Yes. And there could be times, like say we bought, the really robust chargers, and Aaron may have to help me, they're like 125,000. Those are the ones where you plug in and you're fully charged in, a supercharge. Yes. If something happens, because we'll have warranties where COG will track those. If it's not covered under the warranty or something happens and we are able to go after additional funding, of course, we'll help the city and county.
Thank you.
But COG will not be going and washing them. But washing them or keeping them clean, yeah, yeah.
Oh, sorry, I thought I turned it on. Are there any public comment? Seeing none, I'll bring it back to the board. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved. Second.
Who was the mover? Tim, second by Gary, all in favor?
Aye.
We'll move on to item number 8, which is the minute order approving and reprogramming CMAQ funds. I will turn it over to the executive director.
Thank you, Chair Follendorf. Staff is recommending the reprogramming of CMAQ funding as presented. If you want to look at either page 72 in your packet or page 70, both of those will reflect current programming and the proposed programming. As most of the council is aware, COG was able to loan out our regional CMAQ allocations in 2022 and 23, and that was requested from the City of Angels Camp. Both allocations were returned in fiscal year 23-24. So if you're looking at fiscal year 23-24 of current programming, you see the 523 and the 429 are coming back to the county. And then you have our annual apportionment of 440, 155, and that totals 1.3 million. So that came back to the county. And on February 12th, the County Public Works Department reached out to COG requesting an advancement of CMAQ funding. The county requested their 24-25 apportionment, their 25-26, and their 26-27 apportionment all be advanced to 23-24 in order to begin construction on the Valley Springs School Safety Improvement Project this summer. After discussions with the county, I reached out to the City of Angels because this is a pretty large apportionment. I know they had been having issues with getting through environmental. They had cultural issues. Then they were looking and needed another review for their mine. So she had been stalled going through environmental. I asked the City of Angels if they would be able to use this funding or if they were looking or thinking about a loan. I told them that the county was willing to take the funding. Their project was going to be moving forward to construction, and they agreed with a trade. So to keep their projects whole, which both projects with the city and county had CMAQ funding and RSTP funding. The CMAQ funding as proposed, the 1.3 would be moved to the Valley Springs project. And in a later item, right after this, you'll see how I've made their projects whole with RSTP. So previous programming, the county had 723,000 of RSTP and a lower amount of CMAQ. Now that has flipped. Now the county will use this federal funding. They're ready to go to construction, and the city will have a majority of the RSTP. But on this item of CMAQ, this is the programming that the city and county through the technical advisory committee is recommending and staff supports, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Are there any questions from the board? Mike, oh, your mic don't need to be turned on. I know it's a hard button.
Melissa, no, I don't have any questions about this particular item, but future funding, is the city and the county working to identify future projects that this money could be used for? Is there any more, is this an annual type of grant?
Yes. So at the top on the chart on page 72, I put annual apportionments. And so I usually am conservative, and I've programmed 419, 419, and 419 over the past. But as you receive the actual dollar amounts, so at the top you see it's 440, 155, and in 24, 25 it's 448. So it's right around that dollar amount. But we usually program CMAQ in a 4-year period. So we usually always count on CMAQ, and that is congestion mitigation, air quality control funds. So it has to meet a certain criteria. You have to run formulas to make sure that your project meets those kind of compliance requirements.
Thank you.
Whether the city and county are doing project initiation documents, they haven't shared with me, but both city and county are very aware that this is a funding source that has been historic with COG.
Any other questions? Gary?
Just to touch base on that real quick. This is, we try and do this with CMAQ funding between the city and the county, so it stays within Calaveras. We've had to in the past loan it out, and it doesn't look good when it comes back to the amount we get the next year because we didn't utilize. So we try and keep it here amongst ourselves, so it stays in Calaveras.
Yeah, like I'm excited that the Valley Springs School is gonna get, the safety is gonna get kicked off there and that projects get pushed forward. So that, I mean,
Yeah.
I think it's wonderful. Yeah.
No, this is absolutely an ideal situation that we're using our own apportionments within our county.
Yes.
But it doesn't mean that, in the meantime, city and county, like, Melissa said, are working internally with any project they see to then let the COG know that, there could be potential projects in the future once they're done with those projects. So it all has to start internally at either Public Works for the county or city council, how that works, and then funnel through the COG. Because once these projects are completed, we essentially, as the jurisdictions, are responsible to have those initiation documents prepared to qualify for the CMAQ funds when they come around again. And so, for example, like right now, I think for us, for the county, we only have Valley Springs going on, correct? Yes. So once Valley Springs gets done, we will need to start having that discussion at the county. What is our next priority that we want to submit to the COG for consideration of funds?
And if I can just add, to be clear and transparent, if you look on page 72, the outer year 26, 27, that 419 is unprogrammed. So we don't have that slated for a project, but I do have the ability, if either of these projects needed funding, I could request an advancement. So that hasn't been allocated, to a project, but I want the COG to know that it's there. And both city and county know it's also there.
Okay, are there any other questions on this or comments? Are there any public comment? No. Seeing none, I'll bring it back to the board for a motion.
So moved.
Moved by Albert,
Second.
second by Tim. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Well, thank you for supporting the county's request. Appreciate it. Okay, we will move on to item number 9, which is the minute order approving the RTP programming. I keep saying RSTIP and it's wrong. I would turn it over to the executive director.
Thank you, Chair Pollendorf. Like I stated when we were reviewing the programming for CMAC, once you revise CMAC on those projects, it triggered us revising RSTP to the projects. We usually put out a call for projects with both funding and allocate them at that time. So with these revisions of CMAC programming, in order to keep the projects whole, and I'll give you the totals. So the county's project was 1.6 million, and the city's was also 1.6 and 93,000. So to keep those whole, the county took the bulk of the federal money, which is the 1.39. So that would need 256,000 in RSTP to make it whole. So if you look on page 78, I have the current programming and the proposed programming. In addition to making the Angels Creek project whole, backfilling it with RSTP, and making the Valley Springs School Safety Project whole, the county requested match funds for the Trade Corridor Enhancement Program grant that they received that totaled $5.2 million. In June, a lot of you will remember the COG was successful in getting that funding for right-of-way on phase 2 of the Wagon Trail project. A condition of that grant award was that the county had to commit match funds, even though they weren't planning on using or utilizing that funding until 2027-28. They still had to put forward a resolution saying that they were going to commit these funds. The funds that the county identified was road mitigation funding. And now the county is requesting that the COG program RSTP funds to match the TCEP grant in the amount of $2.2 million. If the council approves this $2.2 million, it wouldn't be needed until fiscal year 27-28. And up until that time, I would actively be looking for additional or other funding sources to fund this project. I think the council knows that the county project team has been struggling with cultural issues. They need this $2.2 million in discussions with the county staff and city staff, letting them know that they would like to use their RIM funds on phase 1 currently, and then COG will look for this funding or alternative funding until it's needed in 27-28. Does anyone have any questions? Did I miss? Was that clear? Okay. Mike.
Yeah, so the funds that were allocated to Angels Camp are now going to be reallocated to help support the Wagon Wheel project.
No, I've got two separate issues.
Oh, those
going
are
on.
two separate.
Yes,
Okay.
that's what I was trying to say at the beginning.
Okay.
And let's look.
Yeah.
So let's look on page 78. And it's the second chart that says the proposed programming. So just to make the CMAC funding and the RSTP funding on the two projects, the Angels Creek Bike and PED and the Valley Springs, you see I did RSTP of 223 to the Valley Springs and then the 33,607. Then for the Angels in 25-26, they're going to get 412,000 and then the 373 in 26-27. And so that will make those two priority projects that are approximately 1.6 million each Those will make those whole. That was their project awards through our call for projects. In addition to all of this, the county reached out, and it didn't go through TAC, but I communicated with city and county staff because we had a very stacked schedule. So I couldn't get the information until right before. But the county project team is requesting this 2.2 million be programmed in 26, 27, and hopefully we can find an alternative funding source, but they would like to use their 2.2 of RIM funds on phase 1 that they're currently in right now, and buy themselves some time.
Any questions? No? And,
I had a comment real quick.
yeah,
So I think the Highway 4 is a huge project, and it's gonna need some help at the moment, so I am all for this. And I think help from Caltrans County, the city, any way we can all pitch in and make this, this phase 1 get through and moving on, I think is a great idea.
It's gonna benefit all of us.
Yeah.
It really is.
This is the county and city's #1 economic development strategy that they have.
It's gonna
I
benefit.
don't know of any other strategy that they have to bring people here to spend their money, and they have to be able to get here.
Get here.
Irish Days, Arnold, the Scenic Byway, the fair. In order to get here, we have to make it a safe travel.
Right.
So in the COG's eye, this is both city and county, using their STIP funding, using their local funding to get this project through so that we can have this corridor. And it's a regional project. We're a regional agency. This is what we do.
any other questions? Okay. Are there any public comments? Okay, seeing none and shaking her head no online, okay, we'll bring it back to the board. Is there a motion to approve item number 9?
I move this item.
Moved by Gary, second by Tim. Would that? Oh, I said your name.
Take it,
Well, who do you want?
Me. I'll take it.
Okay, Gary, okay, moved by Gary, second by Alvin, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Well, thank you, board, for supporting the items. Okay, we'll move on to item number 10, which is minute order authorizing an amendment to the service agreement between the COG and Calaveras County Auditor Controller and Treasurer, amending section 3 of the term. I will turn it over to the Executive Director.
Thank you, Chair Fallendorf. Since 2013, the COG has contracted with the County Auditor Controller and Treasurer for services. They hold all of our funds. Their financial system is what we're directly connected to. We can print reports and process our AP anytime in our office. We've amended this agreement a couple of times. It's due to expire June 30th of 24, but what I'm also asking the council is to amend the verbiage in section 3 of the term. So the CTA currently has the same agreement, and under section 3 of the term, it states that this is an ongoing contract with no end date, but both parties reserve the right to give a notice if they want to stop. I would like to be consistent with our Calaveras Transit Agency agreement with the county and revise this section if the council agrees. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions from the board?
Nobody's gonna want me to
Thank
come to these any longer.
It's a little fun.
So Melissa, is this a fee that the county establishes? It's not a negotiated fee. That's the service charge that the county
Yeah.
has established.
What is the program that's
It's-
all general services? Okay, A87.
87
Okay.
fund, yeah.
So COG used to participate in A87
Okay.
and the costs got just out of control.
Yeah.
So the COG left the county and went to the city and had the city do all of our financial
Okay.
system. They got into a situation where they had staff turnover, they were too busy, and they couldn't accommodate us. So we asked the auditor controller at that time, Rebecca Callan, if she would take us back. And she said, absolutely. I said, I didn't want to participate in A87. And she says that we can do it based on a transaction contract. So they assess how many transactions we do, and then they bill us quarterly. So it's been a nice relationship and affordable to both COG and transit.
And and benefits both parties.
Yes.
A87 funds are horrendous. When I was on First Five, that was a huge
Yes.
expense
Yes.
for the county to process.
Yes.
So I'm glad you guys were able to work
Yeah.
something else out.
Any other question? That's a good reminder. I forgot about that. Yeah, I know. And then any public comment? Seeing none, I'll bring it back to the board. Is there a motion to approve item number 10?
So moved.
Moved by Tim,
Second.
second by Justin, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Seeing none, that passes. Okay, we'll move on to item number 11, which is the minute order approving the award of professional service agreement with Green Dot Transportation Solutions for the Regional Transportation Plan Update. I will turn it over to Erin.
Hello, board. As I've said in the staff report, the COG is required due to state and federal law to develop a regional transportation plan every 4 or 5 years. In 2014, there was a vote establishing a 4-year RTP update schedule, which allowed the county to have an 8-year housing element update. In this case, our last RTP was completed in 21. And so we need to go out to update our current RTP. So I put out an RFP at the end of January, and we received 2 proposals by the due date of March 1st. We had an evaluation committee of COG staff, Caltrans, and partner agency staff review those proposals and score them. Based on those scores, Green Dot Transportation Solutions was chosen. Green Dot Transportation Solutions should sound familiar to you. They've worked on numerous projects as subs. They did complete our 2017 RTP. They completed the Pope Street Class 1 Safe Routes Plan. So they're very familiar with Calaveras County. And we are recommending a contract award with Green Dot. Any comments or questions?
Any questions by the board? I have a comment, but I'll wait to see if the rest of the board. You might after I say something.
Here we go.
Bite my tongue on this.
Okay. So just to clarify with this plan for both jurisdictions, if the jurisdictions do not have the roads, the regional road projects in this plan, they will not qualify for funding.
Correct.
Okay, so jurisdictions, make sure we get your projects in this plan, otherwise 5 years from now, you may not qualify for funding.
And I'd like to just point out the scope of, or the suggested scope from the consultant is included in the contract that's in the packet. And they do have 2 workshops that they've scoped out with the board to work on goal setting and project prioritization, so.
Okay. But I just want for all of us to remember, we're all going through our CIP programs, we're all having discussions of what our future looks like, and I want to make sure that we have that nice reminder that we need to keep this on our radar. So, Melissa, you wanted to say something? You can say something.
No, I was just gonna add, we have workshops through the Technical Advisory Committee with city and county staff, and we literally start with our last RTP, and we go through those projects and ask city and county staff, are they still relevant? Are they in their CIP? So there'll be multiple TAC meetings where we're working through what projects they want, what plans COG has completed, what are the priorities. And so the CIP is a perfect start, to work with the county. And I know the city also has their CIP.
Thank you. Any questions? Are there any, I'm not seeing anything from the board, so I'm gonna go to public comment. Are there any public comments on this item? Okay, I'll bring it back to the,
I'm sorry.
no, it's okay. Go ahead.
The workshops that are planned, th- those will be starting this year.
Yes,
So we will have them later on this year, and it'll be city, and then and have county, the two individual.
yes.
Okay.
And those are for public. And then the ones I was talking about through the technical advisory was staff level. So you're gonna have outreach in the community, and then staff will come back and work through the technical advisory committee.
Thank you.
Is that, any other questions on that?
I'll move this item.
Okay, moved by Gary, is there a second? Second by Pat, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Seeing none, okay, we'll move on. We'll move on to item number 11, which is council report, and I will start with Vice Chair at the end, Tim. Okay, Justin? Mike? Pat? Gay? Yeah, Mike.
Report that I got a
Mike,
note-
Mike.
Sorry. I just report that I got a note written on my binder here on one of my pages that says, city first. So I'm, respond to that, city first for what?
Many.
For winning? Oh, okay,
That's me.
because, yeah.
He said county
Like-
first. He said county first to Mike. So I trumped him and put city first on his.
And that's my report.
Yeah.
Other than thank you, Aaron, for everything you do.
Thanks, Gary.
And Melissa and Ann and Susan, see you Tuesday.
I'll just comment that Gary's got to get better backstory first.
Yeah.
You wrote it down. Transparency.
Alvin? Okay, I have nothing to report. We'll move on to staff reports. Are there any staff reports? Melissa?
Yes, I had the pleasure of attending the Board of Supervisors meeting on March 26th, where they honored Marita Calloway, who is also a former COG board member, and Melissa Eads, which is a former COG executive director. They were both honored by the state and the Board of Supervisors, so it was really nice, and I thank the Board of Supervisors.
Ann? No.
No.
Ann?
I have nothing to add to the report that's in the packet.
Okay. And with that, we will join the COG meeting, and we will meet here May 1st at 5:30, and we will go into the CTA meeting. Do you need a couple minutes, Ann?
I'm fine. Oh.
Okay, we'll move on to CTA, and first item on the agenda is the consent agenda item. We have multiple consent agenda items. Are there any board members that wishes to comment or pull an item? Seeing none, I'll move it to the public. Are there any public comments? Seeing none in the room, none online, I'll bring it back. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda item? Moved by Tim, second by Alvin.
Yep.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none. Okay. Move on to the regular agenda. First item is item number 6, which is public comment. These are comments that be limited to items that are within the subject matter jurisdiction of the council and not posted on the agenda. Are there any public comments for items not on the agenda? Seeing none in the room, any online? None. We'll move on to item number 7, which is resolution fiscal year 24-4, authorizing the chair to execute the authorized agent form and executive director to execute the certificate of assurance for low carbon transit operation program. You gotta make it complicated for me. 23-24 project fund, to fund an electric van purchase. I will turn it over to Erin.
Hello again, board. I'd actually like to just specify that 7 and 8 are pretty much the same item, just for purposes of the program and the documentation. I need to have resolutions that list each project. So you're welcome to ask questions for either one, and this explanation kind of covers both. So just a heads up. But LCTOP funds are annually allocated and provide funding for projects which reduce greenhouse gas emissions, improve mobility, and serve disadvantaged communities. In fiscal year 22-23, CTA initiated a 3-year rollover project towards an electric bus purchase. And this year we were presented with an opportunity to purchase an electric van with an anticipated delivery date of May 2024, so right around the corner. Our service fleet historically has had 2 vans in it that we use for special services and our dial-a-ride services. Van 1 was totaled and replaced with our first electric van. So now we have 1 electric van and 1 gasoline van. Currently, our gasoline van has exceeded its useful life, and given the opportunity to purchase another electric van with such a short turnaround time and the industry issues we know with getting vehicles, it seemed like an excellent opportunity. So what we're recommending is splitting our 23-24 allocation, covering the purchase of a second electric van, and then the remainder being allocated towards the second year of the 22-23 rollover project. So that first, or the EV van purchased this year, is $76,307, if I'm correct. And then the second project, being the rollover project, is the allocation would be $44,034. Is there any question?
Mike.
Aaron, what's the range of the van?
So the range of our current one, I think they state it's like 100 technically, but we are told to understand it being 80, given circumstances, topography, AC, all that kind of stuff.
So typically you plan a route to keep in mind the fact that it has an 80-mile rate.
Absolutely, yeah. And that's why we dedicate it mostly to dial-a-ride services or special events as well. It allows us a better ability to kind of operate in that sense. And our transit operator is really good at scheduling that stuff, so.
Thank you.
Yep. Okay, Justin, Tim?
Is the life expectancy or, is it the same as a gasoline powered, or is it more or less?
I think it's more or less the same. The last, originally, like we were completing our ZEB, our emissions rollout plan, they didn't have a life expectancy because the technology is so new. They just haven't had a vehicle run the course of its life yet. However, when I was researching researching electric vehicles currently, when I was referencing this van, I saw 10 years, which is about, actually it's a little bit more than our average useful life for a regular gasoline van, which is about 8 years. So, it just depends. I think we'll see how the industry goes and technology lasts, because 10 years sounds really, really ideal, but we'll see.
Gary, did you have something?
You know, but how accurate is this delivery on May 2024? Because last time it took us
So-
like 2.5 years.
Well, we got our EV van very quickly last year, or within a good amount of time period. This one, it's an ideal situation because the chassis already exists. All he has to do is add a couple seats and the fare box and do the wrap and install the cameras. So it's sitting in, I think, Chico right now, with like 3 chairs in it already. The wheelchair lifts on it. It's I would say like 70% complete. So he actually said, give me like 30 days. So then I added time to that and I put May of 24. So
Oh, Okay, that's good.
Yeah.
Well played.
Our previous experience, but this is great. We'll have 2 electric vans.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
that's-
And our current gasoline van can still be used. It's not like it's dead. It's just technically past its useful life according to state standards, so.
All right.
So Aaron, the county currently has an EV van.
Transit has one, yes.
Okay, and what has been the reliability of that van? Have you noticed anything in terms of maintenance and?
Well, when we first got it, we had some initial issues with maintenance, but that wasn't having anything to do with our routes. It was just the vehicle itself. Since we've had it, I don't think we've had any maintenance issues.
Since they repaired it.
Correct. Yeah, so.
Is there like a regular maintenance schedule for them or like a gasoline vehicle or how does that work?
So the maintenance schedule is going to be things like, for us, it's going to be your tires, brakes, those base things. In terms of the engine and whatnot, it doesn't really have, I think there's some fluid, but there's not a lot of fluid. So we don't have that set up yet. We're still working on getting that, that information. But basically, the bottom line is tires, brakes. We do safety checks and we do all of that. The engine piece is definitely different.
And where are the batteries stored?
Well, I have no idea. Probably
Are they
underneath.
under?
I
Are
think
they
it's
under the
underneath.
van? Because I know when Bret Hart got their electric bus, it took all of the storage for batteries. So there wasn't any storage for,
Oh.
yeah. Yeah, where you normally put, football gear and things like that.
Oh, yeah.
That whole compartment is full of batteries.
I would imagine it's underneath.
It must
I
be
believe that's
underneath,
what they
huh?
said.
It's my knowledge so far is that this is going to be underneath.
Yeah.
When we get the bigger buses, I understand they're on top, which is a whole nother story. But that's a bigger bus that we haven't had to worry about yet. So,
Thank you.
Justin?
With the saying that the van, the gasoline van that we have is out of its useful life, are we still gonna keep that for some time, or are we gonna get rid of that vehicle? Is that gonna be a backup thing?
As long as they're in good working order, the transit manager can cycle them in and use them. If they notify me that it's like we just don't feel safe using it, then we surplus. And then we contact a surplus company and then we surplus the vehicle.
Any other questions? I have a question, more curiosity, and you don't need to answer it. You can you can come back with an answer. So, Mike said something earlier about, the EV charging in the city. So it's more of local jurisdiction getting these chargers and county being possibly next to look into that here on campus. Could consideration be built into those when going after funding to consider the CTA buses for charging in these locations? So one thing I was thinking about was Saturday Hopper. The Saturday Hopper goes directly from the city to Murphy's, and instead of having to reroute back to San Andreas, they could have a shorter time to recharge to keep up with that transit line.
So in the overall work program, the EV charging plan, transit is one of the recipients. So we're getting fleet chargers for city, county, and for transit. I've talked to the county public works department about putting a charger in their public works yard in Arnold. And I would leave a van there and have a van in Arnold or in San Andreas, and we would just keep switching. And so we would, run both of those vehicles.
Okay, so we all go now.
Yep.
Okay, thank you. Yeah. Okay, are there any other questions? Okay, I'll bring it out to the public. Are there any public comments? Seeing none, bring it back. Is there a motion to approve agenda item number 7?
So moved.
Moved by Justin, second by
I'll- I was gonna say we could do both of them at once, can we not? 7 and 8, since they're, make the motion for both of them.
Is that okay with Megan's motion?
So moved for both items 7 and 8.
Okay.
Second for 7 and 8 as well.
Can we can do that, right, Monica? Okay, just making sure. Okay, so we got a motion to approve item 7 and 8. Who was the second?
I'm second.
Tim seconds.
Second by Tim, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, moving on to item number 9. Cynthia.
Good evening, good evening. Cynthia Lawrence, Calaveras Connect Paratransit Services, Transit Manager. So for last month, we have a few fun things. We started up our Saturday Hopper, Irish Days. That was quite amazing. We had 376 rides that we provided to it, so we were busy. We had to put out some extra buses, make sure people weren't standing. It's always good going in, but coming back, we're a little concerned if they're standing, so made sure that happened. And since then, the Hopper's been doing pretty good, despite some of the weather. I was surprised we're getting okay ridership still. We did have a Saturday service special event that just took place at the end of the month that we provided. There were 10 veterans that wanted to be able to go for the traveling wall, and we were able to provide that service. There was a little hiccup, though. I found out the day before that they were going to do the Foothill Little League Baseball parade. And it was going to start at 8:30, and they closed the roads down at 7:30. So luckily there was a CHP guy there, and he said, "Oh, don't worry about it. We'll get you through." So everything worked out just fine to pick everybody up. My driver tells me it was great, and they fed him. That made him happy. So, and he got to have a nice experience. So, for transit ridership, I pulled the numbers and I was looking at last month versus this month, and we are up across the board, which is exciting to see. Our fixed route and Columbia College is up 275 riders, which is really nice. Our West Point, we lost some ladies, our little shopping group, and we had some other people that went for medical appointments up in West Point. And they've moved along. They've gone to other places and whatnot. And so our ridership was sort of coming down. But these 2 ladies that were left started going door to door to their neighbors saying, "If you don't come, we're going to lose our service." So now we have some new riders, and the ridership is back up. And it was from last month, it went up 31 rides. So our countywide dial ride, it's up by about 52 rides as well. So we're still doing very well. I'm excited to see that movement. Today, all morning long, we've had an annual CHP inspection, and the buses are still running down in the road. So you know what? We've done well. They love what we've done with our CHP book, which talks about, or it shows proof of all the transit training, all the certifications that people are fit to drive. He said it was one of the best that he had seen in the industry. He goes, he had been in Muni, and he learned a lot from Muni, but he didn't really even realize that we existed here, which was interesting because he lives in Calaveras. So I said, "Oh yeah, you should come ride sometime." So our buses all did well, despite the fact that they're aging and whatnot. Our maintenance guy has really done a great job in keeping those vehicles safe, reliable, and in good order. So I should have the formal report tomorrow. So that's all I have.
Any questions?
No,
Mike?
I just want to congratulate, what you said and what has to happen in order to get a successful passage from CHP is huge. And that's no easy task. And I want to congratulate you
Oh, thank you.
and your staff for achieving that.
Thank you.
No, it's congratulations.
Thanks. I appreciate it. And I think that's all I have for now. Yeah.
Tim?
I'm just curious, does your maintenance staff, are they having to get retrained to deal with the high voltage issues?
So we have been discussing how to move forward with that. Currently, the way it is you have to have special gear. You have to have a special pad you stand on. You have to wear certain clothing items, special gloves, just to be able to turn it off, the electric piece off, the batteries, and then be able to work on anything on it. And so we're looking at that kind of training. I think ADC said something about they were going to be able to help us out with finding classes and whatnot. They can still do the breaks and all that stuff, but the concern is if you're doing anything with the batteries and stuff, because there's, yeah, you wear it's a joke, but it's true. You wear the wrong underclothes even, and you're in trouble. So.
Don't open the hood in the rain.
We're still learning. We're still learning.
Gary, do you have something?
No, thank you.
You
Cindy.
said you had a whole list in your computer for me.
Well, yeah, you answered it all.
Oh, yeah. I was thorough.
I do owe you a thank you, though, and you know what it's for. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm glad you guys had a good time.
Okay, we'll move on to item number 10 for staff reports. I'll start with the executive director. Nothing? Ann?
Nothing to report.
Oh, I thought you were asking the council. I do have an update. We will be issuing our transit facility RFP for design and engineering on April 8th with a proposal closing date of May 16th. And then we'll evaluate those proposals and hopefully bring back a contract for the CTA. We also should be hearing back on our SB 125 money, which is the money that we're going to use for the facility. We're supposed to be hearing about our allocation before April 30th, and I'll be bringing to the COG a request to open a separate fund to keep the funding separate and reporting.
Awesome. Okay. Ann? No? Ann?
Cynthia covered a lot of everything, but briefly, the handouts that you guys got include our new Saturday Hopper brochure that hopefully will start circulating throughout the community. I think it's really nice. I don't know if you remember the old one. I guess I should have brought it, but it's just a single white page, and I just think this is really eye-catching, so I'm really excited about it. And then I also have copies, which we're including in your packet as well, of the Tri-Transit for May 2024, the little flyer that we have made up there. You'll start seeing advertisements for that rolling out. That will be using LC-TOP funding. So we're really excited to see that happen. So that's all I got.
Awesome. Okay, anyone else? Oh, okay, before I call for adjournment, reminder, some of us also have invitations May 1st, so please let staff know if you're not able to make it, so we can ensure that we have quorum on May 1st, please. So, and with that, we will adjourn this.
Give me 1 sec.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Aaron, the almighty powerful. Do you have these in digital? Can you send them to Rebecca so she can put it on the webpage?
Yep.
Thank you. All right, no, I'm done.
Okay.
Sorry.
No, that's okay. Anything else? No? Okay, so with that, we will adjourn, and the next meeting for CTA is May 1st at 5:30 right here. Thank you.